The sound of boots against hardwood is the only thing that fills the quiet house before dawn. Sawyer Briggs, a 39-year-old black cowboy with shoulders broad from years of breaking wild mustangs and hands still calloused from ranch work, kneels at the kitchen table with a mug of instant coffee and a worn-out Bible. Sunlight hasn't touched the horizon yet, but he's already dressed in faded jeans, a denim shirt tucked clean, and a BOLO tie his late wife gave him on their last anniversary. The air in the room still smells faintly of her lavender hand lotion, though it's been 2 years since the cancer took her. He stares out the window at the open Wyoming plains, where dew clings to every blade of yellowed grass and horses move like ghosts behind the wooden fence. Peaceful. But that kind of peace never lasts long for a black man out here. His daughter, Ava, only 9, shuffles in, rubbing sleep from her eyes and clutching a stuffed animal by its ear. He offers her a tired smile. "You hungry, baby girl?" he asks. She nods, and Sawyer sets about frying eggs in silence, like he's done every morning since they lost Marlene. By 6 a.m., he's packed lunches, braided Ava's hair, and roused his 12-year-old son, Micah, from bed. The boy's quiet today. He usually is after weekends with the Reeds. Sawyer's stomach knots. He doesn't ask what was said at the Reeds' sprawling ranch. Marlene's white parents had never approved of the marriage, and they sure as hell didn't approve of Sawyer raising mixed kids on a horse ranch he leases month to month. "They said your house is falling apart," Micah mumbles as he laces his boots. "Said we'd be safer with them." Sawyer pauses, spatula midair. "You are safe here. Don't let nobody make you think different." But the words feel weak. He knows what this is. Little comments. Poisoned seeds. Planted slow. Marlene's parents, wealthy, connected, and quietly condescending, have been circling like vultures ever since the funeral. Outside, the pickup coughs before turning over. Rust creeps up from the wheel wells, and one side mirror's duct-taped in place. Sawyer straps the kids in and starts toward the county school, a 45-minute haul down a gravel road lined with barbed wire and cattle bones bleaching in the sun. At the edge of town, the scenery shifts. Trailers give way to manicured lawns, horses to SUVs. This is Sundown Ridge, a gated community plopped into the prairie like it owns the land. Wide-brimmed hats, pearl snaps, and Confederate flag decals blend uneasily with black hands like Sawyer's on a steering wheel. He slows as they pass the sheriff's office. Outside, Deputy Wayne Harris leans against a cruiser, eyes narrowing behind his shades. Harris has always had that look, like he's itching for a reason. Sawyer nods slow. Harris doesn't nod back. No words are exchanged, but something lingers. By the time Sawyer pulls into the school drop-off, he's already decided. He'll repaint the porch, fix that gutter, maybe even replace the water heater. Anything to keep the Reeds from sniffing around for excuses. But deep down, he knows. A storm is coming, and paint won't hold it back. Sawyer notices the first sign on a Tuesday. It's pinned to his front gate with a thick red tack, official-looking, though there's no seal. Just bold black letters screaming. Notice of unsafe conditions, child welfare to be notified. He stares at it, heart hammering. No signature. No authority named. Just a threat, vague but sharp enough to cut deep. Micah peers over his shoulder. "What's that mean, Daddy?" Sawyer rips it down. "Nothing. Go on and do your homework." But inside, his chest tightens. The timing isn't random. Not after last weekend. Not after the Reeds sent him that helpful email offering to take the kids full-time for their own well-being. He'd replied with a single sentence, "My kids are not up for negotiation." The next day, a white SUV idles at the edge of his property around dusk. Sawyer notices it while feeding the horses. Windows tinted. Engine running. No one gets out. He approaches slowly, boots crunching gravel. But before he can speak, the vehicle reverses and disappears in a cloud of dust. Inside, he scribbles the license plate on a feed invoice. Just in case. By Thursday, more notices appear. One stapled to his chicken coop. Another zip-tied to the chain-link fence. Violation of county code. Unregistered structures. Property unsuitable for minors. report pending. There's no official insignia on any of them. Just threats dressed up in bureaucracy. He heads to town. The county clerk's office is a low brick building that smells like dust and printer toner. Sawyer waits in line, hat in hand, while the receptionist chews gum like she's punishing it. When he finally gets to the counter, the woman glances up and sighs. "Can I help you? I need to know if there've been any reports filed against my property. Something about safety violations." She types lazily. "Address?" He gives it. She squints at the screen. Nothing's been filed. Not officially. Unofficially. She hesitates. Her eyes flick toward the side office, where a man in a white Stetson is watching. "Who's that?" Sawyer asks. The woman lowers her voice. "That's Clint Reeds. Sits on the zoning board now. Comes in most days." Sawyer stiffens. Marlene's older brother. The clean-shaven, silver-tongued one who always wore cowboy boots with pressed slacks and called Sawyer the help at their wedding. Sawyer turns to leave. As he steps outside, he sees Clint on the sidewalk, sipping coffee like he owns the sun. "Well, look who's come to town," Clint drawls, smiling with his teeth but not his eyes. "Heard you got some trouble on the ranch." Sawyer keeps walking. "Kid still doing okay?" Clint calls after him. "Folks worry, you know. Single father, long hours, house fallen apart. Not a good environment for two little ones." Sawyer doesn't turn around, but in his gut, he knows now. This ain't just family drama. This is war. A slow, polite, calculated war. And Clint's smiling because he thinks he's already winning. By the following week, the harassment isn't subtle anymore. Sawyer finds a Child Protective Services card wedged in the screen door one evening. Scribbled on the back. Follow-up scheduled. Friday at 9 a.m. His blood runs cold. He paces the kitchen, hands on his hips, while Ava plays on the floor with plastic horses. Micah pretends to read, but his eyes flicker with worry. CPS. They're really trying to take my babies. Friday morning, a white sedan crunches into his gravel driveway. A woman steps out, mid-40s, clipboard in hand, polite smile plastered on her face. Her name tag reads Carla Whitmore, caseworker. She's barely through the door before Clint Reeds pulls up too, like it's his right to be here. He saunters in behind her like a proud host, tipping his hat with faux politeness. "Just here to make sure everything's on the up and up," he says, uninvited. Sawyer stiffens. "This is my home. You can wait outside." Clint smiles wider. "Just want to ensure the kid's best interest. Family looking after family, right?" Carla hesitates, clearly uncomfortable, but doesn't object. Sawyer realizes how this works. Clint doesn't need a badge. Just power, influence, skin color, the quiet confidence of someone who's never heard no stick. As Carla walks through the house, inspecting the kitchen, the kids' rooms, even opening the fridge, Sawyer follows her, explaining everything. Clean sheets. New fire alarm. Updated water heater last winter. She checks boxes. Says she'll file a preliminary report. But when she steps outside, Clint's already talking to her in hushed tones by his truck, gesturing toward the barn. Her face twists with concern. Sawyer clenches his fists. He's feeding her lies, tainting her view before she's even gone back to her office. That night, he calls Leon Jackson, the only black attorney in 3 counties, and a man Sawyer helped rescue calves with during last year's blizzard. Leon listens, patient and quiet. Then, "You're being boxed in. They're making a paper trail." Sawyer's silent. Leon continues. "You need documentation. Cameras. Witnesses. Anything that contradicts what they're building." Next morning, Sawyer borrows a trail cam from his neighbor and installs it on a fence post facing the drive. Another goes by the barn. He starts logging every incident in a notebook, the notices, the SUV, Clint's surprise visits. Then the call comes. Micah's school. He's been suspended, fighting with a teacher's son who called him barn trash and said he'd be better off with white folk. Sawyer races to the school. When he arrives, he finds Clint already there, in the principal's office, arms slung over the back of a chair like he belongs. I was just telling Principal Morton how concerned we've been, Clint says smoothly. Mike is a good kid. Just troubled. Principal Morton nods solemnly, not even glancing at Sawyer. Sawyer steps between them. You're not family. You don't get to speak for my children.
Clint tilts his head.
I think the courts may decide otherwise. There's a hearing next month, petition for emergency guardianship. Sawyer's mouth dries. This isn't about concern. It's control. And Clint's using every connection, every whisper, every sliver of leverage to frame Sawyer as unstable, dangerous, unfit. Rage builds in Sawyer's chest like a cattle stampede. But he doesn't explode. He breathes, steadies his voice. You're gonna wish you'd stayed behind your fences, Clint. Because now Sawyer knows the rules. And he's ready to fight like hell. The courtroom smells like polish and sweat. Sawyer adjusts his collar. His boots scuff the floor as he rises to his feet. The judge, a tired-eyed woman in wire-framed glasses, calls for quiet. Clint Reed sits across from him in a clean suit and smug expression, flanked by his attorney, a silver-haired man who probably golfs with half the county's officials. Behind Clint, his wife dabs her eyes with a lace handkerchief. They look like the picture of concern. Churchy, clean, practiced. Meanwhile, Sawyer stands alone. The CPS report is filed. Clint's petition for emergency guardianship is stapled to the top. Accusations read like a script: emotional instability, financial insecurity, inadequate schooling, unsafe living conditions. All of it written in neat legalese, designed to paint a grieving widower as a danger to his own children. Clint leans back in his seat, crossing one leg over the other. My client only wants what's best for those children, his lawyer says smoothly. Mr. Reed's has known them since birth. He has the financial means, the stable home, and the extended family support structure Mr. Cade simply cannot provide. The judge raises an eyebrow. Mr. Cade, how do you respond? Sawyer steps forward.
His voice is steady.
My wife died 7 months ago. Since then, I've made every sacrifice to raise my kids safe, fed, and loved. I patched the roof myself. I took side work hauling hay. I stayed up nights teaching Micah fractions and singing Ava to sleep when she cried for her mama. He turns, looks directly at Clint. But ever since Clara passed, Clint Reed's has been showing up uninvited. Calling CPS. Coaching school staff. Spreading lies. This isn't concern, it's control. And I can prove it. Clint's lips twitch upward in a lazy smirk. You got proof of mind reading, Cowboy? Sawyer nods to the bailiff. I'd like to submit video evidence. A rustle moves through the courtroom. The judge gestures for him to proceed. From his coat pocket, Sawyer pulls a flash drive. 2 trail cams on my property. Installed 3 weeks ago. Footage includes Mr. Reed's trespassing without cause. Attempting to enter my barn. And, this one's important, speaking to CPS caseworker Carla Whitmore in private before her inspection, gesturing toward pre-planted concerns. He looks at the judge. He tampered with a state investigation. Clint shifts in his seat. His attorney leans in, whispering fast. But Sawyer's not done. I also have phone records showing calls made from Mr. Reed's number to the school's principal the night before my son was suspended. And I've got a notarized affidavit from Mrs. Langston, my next-door neighbor, confirming she overheard Clint bragging that those kids will be Reed's before harvest. Now Clint's face tightens. He stands abruptly. This is a circus. He's making this up. The judge bangs her gavel. Sit down, Mr. Reed's. Clint turns red. This man lives in a shack. He keeps livestock within 10 feet of a child's bedroom window. Sawyer doesn't flinch. And yet my kids sleep safe. They eat warm. They laugh. The judge leans forward. I'll be reviewing all submitted evidence before ruling. For now, temporary guardianship remains with their father. Court is adjourned. As the gavel cracks, Clint glares at Sawyer like a man who just realized the horse he bet everything on came up lame. Sawyer exhales, slow and quiet. He walks out with his head high, his kids waiting in the hallway, fingers laced in a stranger's hand. That stranger is a 20-year-old girl with a borrowed blazer and shy fire in her eyes. She smiles at him, small but steady. You don't know me, she says. But I know what that man did to my cousin. I'm ready to testify. The next hearing draws a crowd. The gallery is packed with locals, ranch hands, school teachers, even the town barber leaning against the back wall. Word's gotten out about the trail cam footage, the CPS tampering, and most importantly about the girl. Sierra Monroe, 20 years old,
Broke.
soft-spoken, and the niece of Clint Reed's former housekeeper. She sits nervously in the front row, hands folded in her lap. Her clothes are plain, her voice calm. But when she takes the stand, the courtroom leans in. I lived with Uncle Clint and Aunt Darlene for 6 months last year, Sierra says. After my mama passed, I cleaned,
Cooked.
listened. Her voice falters, but only once. One night, he was talking with his brother-in-law. Said he was tired of watching a grieving mulatto cowboy raising white kids like he belonged. He said, and I remember this exactly, it don't matter what the birth certificate says. Their mama was ours. She's buried with our name. And I'll have those babies too. Gasps ripple through the courtroom. The judge holds up a hand for silence. Clint leans forward, eyes bulging. She's lying. She's a dropout with a record. Sawyer remains still. The only thing moving is his jaw, tight with restraint. But Sierra isn't done. I didn't come forward before, because I was scared. But then I saw Mr. Cade, standing here with no one backing him, just trying to protect his kids. And I knew I couldn't keep quiet. The judge nods solemnly. Do you have any proof of this conversation? Sierra pulls a phone from her pocket. Not of the talk. But I do have this. She plays a voice memo. It crackles. The timestamp flashes. Clint's voice comes through. Unmistakable. She ain't nothing but a scared girl. Ain't no one gonna believe her over me. She'll vanish like her mama did. The courtroom goes dead silent. Clint shoots to his feet. This is entrapment. That's not admissible. The judge frowns. It is, considering she's not law enforcement, and you admitted to intimidation on a recording. Clint's lawyer tugs at his sleeve, hissing, sit down. But Clint's unraveling. This whole town's gone soft, he shouts, jabbing a finger toward Sawyer. He's the reason Clara's dead. If she hadn't been out there in the sun, living like a cowhand, she'd still be. Mr. Reeds, the judge snaps. You're dangerously close to contempt. The courtroom erupts. Reporters scribble. Phones record. Even the bailiff looks stunned. Sawyer doesn't move. His eyes never leave Clint. There's no gloating. Just the grim clarity of a man who's held the truth in his hands, waiting for the light to hit it. The judge stands. Effective immediately. All petitions for guardianship by Mr. Reeds are denied. A formal investigation into witness tampering and racial discrimination is now underway. Clint turns toward his lawyer. Fix it. Fix it. But his attorney stands and steps back. I'm recusing myself from this case. The collapse is fast. Brutal. Clint is cuffed in the hallway, not arrested yet, but held pending questioning on obstruction and conspiracy to defraud a custody hearing. His wife refuses to meet his eyes. She turns and walks out without a word. Sierra watches it all with trembling fingers, pressed to her lips. Sawyer walks over to her slowly, tipping his hat. Thank you, he says. She shakes her head. They said no one would believe me. But you did. He glances toward the bench where his kids now sit, wide-eyed but safe. They believed you too. And for the first time in months, Sawyer Cade smiles. 3 weeks later, Clint Reeds is led out of the county courthouse in shackles. He doesn't look like the man who used to strut through town in polished boots and spit on ranch hands like they were mud. He looks hollow, deflated, a stain spreading across the Reeds' name, a family once untouchable in this county. The charges read like a scandalous parade: fraud, conspiracy, witness intimidation, obstruction of justice, falsifying documents, and custodial interference. But the worst thing for Clint? The public. He's no longer feared. He's pitted and hated. News vans clog the courthouse steps. Headlines scream, ranch tycoon caught in racist custody plot. Sponsors pull out of his feed contracts. 2 banks freeze his accounts pending litigation. And that 5 generations spread he bragged about? Up for auction by fall. Sawyer Cade doesn't attend the sentencing. He's out in the back pasture with his kids, fixing the fence they started months ago. The one Clint's lawyers claimed was unsafe. Maddie hammers nails with her tongue sticking out. Ezra holds the bucket. And for the first time since their mama's funeral, their laughter cuts through the breeze without strain. "Don't hold it crooked, Daddy," Maddie scolds. "Yes, ma'am," Sawyer mutters, grinning. The weight's not gone, but it's lighter, bearable, like breathing after a long winter of smoke. Back in town, something shifted. People nod at Sawyer now, really nod. Not with pity, but respect. Pastor Hargrove stops him outside the feed store to apologize. "I should have stood up when Clint first pushed that hearing. I was wrong. We all were." Sawyer just tips his hat. "Ain't about pride. Just doing right by my kids." A week later, the mayor's office holds a community forum. First one in years. They ask hard questions. How did we let this happen? Why did no one speak up sooner? Sierra Monroe is invited to speak. She stands before the crowd, nervous but steady. "When we stay quiet to keep the peace," she says, "we end up defending injustice with silence." Mr. Cade didn't need a hero. He needed a neighbor. And I almost wasn't one. Her voice breaks at the end. But this time, no one doubts her. She's met with applause. After the meeting, Sawyer catches her near the coffee table. "You speak real good," he says. Sierra smiles. Still scared. "But thank you." "You ever need work," he adds. "My ranch is always looking for honest folks." She blushes, nods. "I might take you up on that." And just like that, something new takes root. Not just justice, but kinship. Quiet, powerful, and slow to bloom. Like spring after a long drought. That night, the kids crawl into Sawyer's bed during a thunderstorm. He pulls the quilt up to their chins, arms wrapped around both. "You safe?" he asks softly. Ezra nods into his chest. Maddie whispers, "Safer than ever, Daddy." He closes his eyes. There's no gavel echoing, no headline screaming. Just rain on the roof, the scent of hay and baby shampoo, and the weight of tiny fingers clutching his shirt. For once, justice didn't come too late. And for the first time in a long time, Sawyer Cade sleeps.